Today on Inside MLFB, we're joined by Danny Corte, Executive Director of the Mobile Sports Authority. He's a man with many years of experience who was instrumental in bringing Major League Football to Mobile, Alabama. We get his thoughts on everything MLFB related. Inside MLFB on the SGPN network is presented by WynnBET. Bet $50 at WynnBET and get $200 in free bets. Bet big, win bigger with WynnBET. Download the WynnBET app now or visit wynnbet.com and start winning today. We're also brought to you by Sleeper. You already play fantasy on Sleeper, but now you can win cold hard cash with their over-under game. Just head to sleeper.com/SGP on your phone to join the SGPN group, and Sleeper will automatically match your first deposit up to $100. That's sleeper.com/SGP. And make sure to check out our new Discord server, the perfect place to interact and sweat bets with the entire SGPN crew. Just go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Discord. Joining us now on Inside MLFB, Danny Corte, right? Danny, did I say that correct?
Right.
Danny is the Executive Director of the Mobile Sports Authority and is the man behind the scenes who brought Major League Football to Mobile, Alabama. Danny, can you talk to us a little bit about how that happened?
Well, Adam, first, thank you for letting me talk to you, and I appreciate you having me on. But this was a situation that almost fell in our lap about 6-7 weeks ago when we found out that Major League Football was looking for a fourth city of their core four. And we were approached, heck, it's probably been several months ago, and it kind of got lost, I guess, in the shuffle, because at the time, the Ladd-Peebles Stadium management team, Ladd-Peebles Stadium being our stadium where the Alabama Airborne will be located and where we'll have our games, they were in a management shakeup and a turnover. So kind of fell through the cracks. Well, it finally landed on my desk about a month and a half ago. And at first, like all of us, it's, hey, here's another professional spring league that's not going to make it. And that was my first thought. But then the more I got into it, the more I did some research and talking to the principals at the time, which were Rick Nichols, J.J. Coyne, Bill Lyons, were the three main ones that I talked to. It said, well, maybe these guys will do what they say they're going to do. And so we started talking. We got Rick Nichols came down here and we made a presentation in front of the Ladd-Peebles Stadium board, who was kind of acting as a de facto management team, because again, the old management team had the contract wasn't being renewed. So we went through all that and we got a positive response about having them come in. And the same thing that I told Bill, I told Rick, I told everybody. I said, listen, let's face it, you're kind of going against history to be a successful spring league. So what you have to do to turn that around is do what you say you're going to do. And that was the only thing I asked them to do. Now, with the history of some of these spring leagues, and nothing personal or anything with these guys, we built in some safeguards in the contracts about them prepaying some rent at Ladd-Peebles and also the hoteliers and so far their coaching staff arrived here late last week. Of course, the players are coming in later this week. So far, they've done everything they said they were going to do in terms of prepayment and working with the group we have here. We named an interim manager of Ladd-Peebles Stadium. He's jumped on board. He's been great to work with. And what we want to show here in Mobile is that if you do what you say you're going to do, we're going to do what we say we're going to do. And that was real important. Who knows where it goes from here? I know They got a little 4-game season in August to set up, obviously, for spring of 23, and we're pretty excited about being a part of that. As long as this partnership, which is what it is, as long as both sides, I guess, stick to what we said that we were going to do. And I know I'm overusing that phrase, but really that's what it really comes down to. And so far, so good.
And Danny, just based on the conversations, I have to ask, is anyone from the management team sitting there with the cue cards telling you, say what you're going to do, mean what you say, and say what you're going to do? Because these are phrases I've heard in every conversation, coaches, executives, everybody across the line that are using.
Well, and that's not any huge ask, really. I mean, when you go into business as a partnership with anybody, and that could be anything from a marriage to business to anything. It's like, just do what you say you're going to tell me you're going to do. And if we have issues as we go, let's talk about them. And let's see if the problems pop up, let's see what we can do to solve the problems and continue on. I mean, that's the only way something like this can work. And that's what we hope, obviously, not just from this August, but going forward in the spring of 23 also.
Yeah, and you talked about the new stadium manager, CJ Drinker, definitely stepping up big time into like you said, stuff was falling through the gaps in the transition, and he stepped up in a big way and seems to have, really taken that in stride. What are the challenges there to be going through a management transition while trying to bring in a big ticket event like this?
Well, and I mentioned it earlier that when this was presented to the old management team 2.5 months ago, it was kind of passed on to the board and it just sat there. And then one of the board members called me because, again, the Mobile Sports Authority is the sports tourism arm for the city and county of Mobile. So we're used to going out and vetting events and that kind of thing out to figure out, is it something that would work for Mobile and Mobile County? So that's when I started looking into it myself. It took me a week or two. Got on the phone with some of the executives of MLF. Got them to come into town. Last month was the Ladd-Peebles Stadium monthly board meeting, and I wanted them to come along with a few other friends that were helping me with this. I wanted them to come to look the board in the eye and say, this is what we're going to do. And that's what Rick Nichols did. And I think JJ might have been here too, but Rick was the one that did this. And so since then, obviously we've met other people in the organization that are stepping up and doing, again, going back to doing what they say they're going to do. And so far we've been real pleased. Now we're really in the early stages because, as I mentioned, the coaches have only been here a few days. Let's talk again in a week when all the teams are starting to practice and everything is going like it should be to see where we are. But for us in Mobile, this, to me, once I got into the details and once we really had that partnership feeling with them, this was easy to go forward with this. And if you want to call it a 5-week interview about how we go forward next year, that's what this is.
And so you mentioned you started to dive into the details. What were the things, you mentioned the management team, what were the things that really stood out to you about this plan that made you think it's a crazy idea, but by gum, it just might work?
Well, the one thing is that, I mentioned it earlier, they're not spending a lot of money. I mean, we look at the USFL, we look at the XFL and their grandiose ideas, and they're spending $100, $200, $250 million. And I just don't think that's where spring football needs to be. And these guys are doing what they're supposed to do in terms of watching their nickels and dimes. And that was impressive. The other thing and it might be a small thing, but as I mentioned, we were the fourth city of the core four, as they call themselves. But one of the cities was Canton, Ohio, and that's right there at Tom Benson Hall of Fame Stadium, right at the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And that was impressive that Canton wanted to be one of the core four, and Little Rock, of course, is a big football town. Virginia Beach has a lot going on up there, and so it also helped that we were the fourth one, because I could see what the other three cities were doing, and that was impressive too. The other thing, which again maybe not as big a deal, but it's a publicly traded company, so you can get information about it if you want to. Now, granted, it's only about a penny stock, but that's not the point. That it is a publicly traded company, and that's a unique, I guess, a unique way to set something up when you're coming in like this, because obviously USFL, XFL are all privately held, so you really can't find out any information. The good and bad about being a publicly traded company is that you can find out the good and the bad. So you can go into it eyes wide open.
So, and that's interesting that you bring that up, that publicly traded aspect really appealed to you, because you get to look, it's those quarterly, those annual reports, and anything big that happens, they have to tell you. And that's definitely, and that's been something where they've gone through the growing pains that probably a lot of leagues have gone through. The difference is they have to put their, for lack of a better term, their dirty laundry out in front of everybody every quarter, every time something big happens. Whereas other leagues maybe get to hide it a little bit more due to their private status.
I mean, Adam, you're right on. And let's face it, just any kind of startup spring league is going to have their issues. MLS has with turnover, with management, with money issues, and we get all that. But again, that's why we kind of wanted them to come in and say, okay, we trust what you're saying, but it's like trust with verification. And it's like, okay, you're going to have to prepay the stadium. You're going to have to pay, a good down payment on your hotels. And that's what they've done. And it's just good business to do that, especially when you're dealing with an entity that is in an industry that historically has not been successful.
Yeah, I mean, you just need to go to the internet and search, and there's just, it seems like a graveyard of past attempts. But, I'm not convinced there's not someone on the other side of the computer there from the league holding up the cue cards, because trust but verify has come up in every conversation as well. So I don't know if they're feeding you or you're feeding them, but, or if it's just a unity of ideas, which is great.
And I guess it kind of is. I mean, we're just hoping this thing works out. I know they're hoping Mobile works out just as much as Little Rock, Canton, or Virginia Beach, and we'll just have to see where it goes. An old adage is don't be afraid to fail, and that's kind of the way I looked at this too. I said, to me, this had very little downside risk in terms of financial, because they were coming in, they were paying us, which really was important. I mean, they have not, at least so far, not asked for any financial contribution from city, county, Mobile Sports Authority, Ladd-Peebles Stadium, or anything. And if it's successful, maybe, they will in the future. But, we're just, at this point, we're just trying to help them be as successful as possible with what we have here in Mobile.
Make sure to get down on the Wynn's Bet 50, Win 200 promotion, where a $50 bet qualifies you for up to $200 in free bets. Bet $500 on sports or casino before July 31st, 2022. Get entered to win the ultimate fantasy football draft experience at Encore Beach Club, including a 2-night stay at Wynn Resorts for you and your entire league. Multiple entries allowed. There's so much to choose from, and all you have to do is download the WynnBet app or visit wynnbet.com to get started. Offer subject to change. Terms and conditions at wynnbet.com. Must be 21 or older and present in the state where playthrough WynnBet is available. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, call 1-800-522-4700. And make sure to check out our new Discord server, the perfect place to interact and sweat bets with the entire SGPN crew. Just go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Discord. Did you have some coffee this morning? Where'd you get it? The grocery store? Some other large chain? Wouldn't it feel better if you could get locally roasted, organically, well-sourced coffee delivered right to your door? Well, now you can with Trade Coffee. Trade Coffee sends you freshly roasted beans from 60 of the country's best craft roasters, small businesses who pay farmers fair prices and sustainably source the greatest beans from around the world. Whether your friends call you a coffee snob or you just know what good coffee tastes like, Trade's real coffee experts personally taste over 450 roasts so they know exactly what to recommend to you. Because the truth is, you like what you like, I like what I like, and it could all be different. You'll like a specific selection of coffees that are different for everybody, and Trade is here for that. Trade will deliver a bag of freshly roasted coffee as whole beans or ground for however you brew it at home, and they guarantee you'll love your first order, or they'll replace it for free. Right now, Trade is offering new subscribers a total of $30 off your first order, plus free shipping when you go to drinktrade.com/SGP. That's more than 40 cups of coffee for free. Get started by taking their quiz at drinktrade.com/SGP and let Trade find you a coffee you'll love. That's drinktrade.com/SGP for $30 off. Awesome. And you talked about the other cities, Mobile, home of the Senior Bowl, the place where so many NFL players' career starts. And there's almost this symmetry with Major League Football where these young men can see where their careers started or potentially started in Mobile and where their ultimate goal is in Canton. You talked about being part of that storied history. How does this fit in with the identity of Mobile as the launching point for so many NFL careers with things like the Senior Bowl?
Well, Adam, you just said it yourself. I mean, the Senior Bowl's been in Mobile since 1951, and on the field at Ladd-Peebles Stadium up to a few years ago when they moved the game out to Hancock Whitney and on the University of South Alabama campus. I don't know of another field besides pro football fields that have had more future Hall of Famers, more all pros, more all conference players play on it than Ladd-Peebles Stadium turf. And the history of our football history is very important to us. I mean, Alabama's in the deep South, just like Mississippi, Louisiana, Florida, Georgia, and we live and breathe football down here. It is by far the number one sport. So if that football history helps tell the story and helps, motivate a young player to say, hey, this, I'd love to play in this league and eventually, like you said, make it up through, maybe you go to USFL next or XFL, maybe get a contract to have a tryout for the New Orleans Saints or somebody like that. I mean, it's a step, it's a process, and the history and our football history, obviously, I shouldn't say obviously, but I would think that's one of the things that attracted MLF to us because of the Senior Bowl. We also have another college bowl game, the Lending Tree Bowl. So we have a long history of good football and good football players coming from Mobile.
And I can tell you, in conversations with league executives, that was exactly what they were looking for. They thought Mobile fit in perfectly into the image of the league as it's with the emerging market and as the launching point for so many pro careers. And they've talked about that Hall of Famers, all pros have all started here in Mobile. Why not these guys? Why couldn't it be these guys?
Well, and they told me the same thing. And let's face it, all that's fine and good, but a new player coming in training camp, you got to start from scratch, and all that other stuff really doesn't mean that much. You've got to work yourself and listen to what your coaches say, and who knows where it could lead to. And I would love to have one day in the future, you have one of these MLF players or several of these MFL players playing on Sunday, and you see them on your game of the week in the NFL. So we'll just see how all this goes. In terms of Mobile, geographically, it also fits because if you look at the footprint of the core four, you've got us here in the South, you've got Arkansas up to our northwest, then you've got Canton to the northeast of them, and then you've got Virginia Beach to the southeast of them. So it's like a diamond-shaped geographic footprint that just seemed to fit for us too. And again, all that's fine and good. Let's just deliver the results.
Now, Jerry Glanville is going to be the coach of the Alabama Airborne. I'm imagining you're a football fan based on the Bama elephant behind you and Drew Brees as well.
There you go.
How exciting is it to see a Jerry Glanville coach team up close in person?
Well, as a New Orleans Saints fan, Coach Glanville against the Falcons, and the Falcons are our hated rivals. So it's going to be interesting to get to talk to him. And from what I understand, I know he's 80 years old, but 80 is the new 60, and he's young. He's still got that energy, and he's already here with his assistant coaches having meetings, is what I understand. But I will look forward to having a chance to talk to him. But I think of the 4 coaches, I don't know the other 3 coaches and the reputations that well. We all know Coach Glanville, and I think we've got the biggest character of the 4 head coaches here. So we're looking forward to that.
Do you think you can set aside your hatred of the Falcons to cheer for Jerry Glanville and the Airborne?
Of course, it's business. It's
business. There we go.
Business. That's right. Personal is one thing, business is another. And so, yeah, we're looking forward to having Coach Glanville down here, and hopefully, as we get into training camp, we'll see him in the media, on the radio around here, and he was the king of one-liners when he was an NFL coach. So hopefully he'll bring some of that with him too.
And someone finally taught him that Twitter exists, and he's been hot, and he's been running hot there, and that feels like it was built for Jerry Glanville right there.
I think you're right. It's like ready, fire, aim. So and quite frankly, I just started my first Twitter account about a month ago, so I'm not far behind him. So
there we go.
So yeah, it will be fun, and hopefully he will, I guess, put some good tweets out there that is complimentary of Mobile and Mobile County.
Now, on to Sleeper. Sleeper is the fastest growing fantasy platform today with millions of players. You probably already have a fantasy league on there. I use it for mine. All of them. Don't want to tell you how many. It's a game-changing product unlike anything else in the industry, and now you can make money on Sleeper too by playing their new over-under game. It's super simple. First, in any sport, choose 2 or more players you like and pick the over-under. For example, number of points in basketball, hits in baseball, yards in football. Then choose the amount of money you want to enter into the contest. If you pick correctly, you can win anywhere from 2 to 20 times the money you put in. The main reason I'm excited about Over-Under on Sleeper is that it's the only app where I can join my friends' contests and play together. It's got a built-in group chat where I can see and copy my friends' picks with the tap of a button. It's insanely fun to ride out all these contests together. Stop what you're doing and download Sleeper now to play their new Over-Under game. Have fun with your friends and make some money. On your mobile phone, join our listener group on Sleeper at sleeper.com/SGP, and Sleeper will automatically match your first deposit up to $100. That's right. Join our squad and get the 100% deposit match at sleeper.com/SGP. Did you know that browsing online using incognito mode doesn't actually protect your privacy? That's right. Without added security, you might as well give away all your private data to hackers, advertisers, your ISP, and other prying eyes. That's why I use IPVanish to make it easy to stay truly private and secure on the internet. IPVanish helps you safely browse the internet by encrypting 100% of your data. This means that your private details, passwords, communications, browsing history, and more will be completely shielded from falling into the wrong hands. Even your physical location will be hidden. IPVanish makes virtually invisible online. Makes you virtually invisible online. It's that simple. You can use IPVanish on unlimited devices without sacrificing on speed. Your computers, tablets, phones, even devices like your Fire Stick when you're streaming media. Whether I'm at home or in public, I don't go online anymore without using IPVanish. IPVanish is offering an incredible 70% off their yearly plan for our listeners with a 30-day money-back guarantee. That's just like getting 9 months for free. IPVanish is super easy to use. All you have to do is tap one button and you're instantly protected. You won't even know it's on. Stop sharing with the world everything you stream, everything you search for, and everything you buy. Take your privacy back today with the brand rated 4.6 out of 5 on Trustpilot. So go to IPVanish.com/SGP and use promotional code SGP and claim your 70% savings. That's IPVanish.com/SGP. Everything sounded good so far. I'm sure we'll get into the talking about the heat here in a little bit, because that Gulf Coast heat just hits different, I've been told.
Yeah, it's about the humidity. The heat is the same. I mean, 90 degrees here is different than 90 degrees in Utah, Colorado, or any place like that. And it's the old humidity you can cut with a knife thing. And so hopefully, and from what I understand, the trainers are gonna be real cognizant of that idea, because Lord, that's the last thing we want to do is have somebody get hurt, having a heat stroke or something like that. But it's just a fact of life. But really, in the U.S., heck, it could be 95 degrees in Ohio too this time of year. Be almost as hot, depending on what the humidity is. But yeah, it's something you have to contend with, no doubt.
So you have a group of young men coming to Mobile. The Alabama Airborne are going to be representing your city, your state. What do you want to see out of that team to make them feel like an Alabama, a Mobile team?
Well, of course, our college teams here are Alabama and Auburn, University of South Alabama here, but Alabama and Auburn, being a longtime Division I team, they have a lot of history of very good teams. You want to see a team that plays hard and makes the fewest amount of mistakes. And granted, this is a training camp. This is a first year of putting a team together. You're going to have a lot of mistakes. But really, if you're playing hard and making those mistakes at 110 miles an hour, that's something you can coach. And really, all you can ask for is somebody to do their best, and whatever that is. And that's what we want to see, just a team that plays hard and plays to the whistle. And with Coach Glanville there, you can guarantee that's probably going to be happening.
Games kick off August 9th, championship game September 6th in Canton, Ohio. You're hoping the Airborne will be there. If the Airborne are there, are you going to be leading the fan caravan from Mobile to Canton?
That's a TBD too, because that Labor Day is also, we have other events. Again, we're the sports tourism arm for the city and county Mobile, so we have a lot of events coming up as we get into the fall. So it just kind of depends what's going on. But that would be pretty cool. The first time that they would have a mini championship game, which would be Mobile, and that would be pretty cool.
So, you talked about how big an impact is that. We talked about the challenges of spring football. Why do we keep trying spring football, Danny? Why do we all keep getting our hopes up that this is the time?
Because it's football, and to the point that when the Super Bowl's over, it's like, oh Lord, what's next? Oh, spring football's next. So it's almost kind of like, okay, spring football is basically practice. Whereas what we want to do, we want to see competition. We want to see games. I mean, the USFL, I mean, it sounded to me like the TV ratings were actually probably better than they thought they would be. And it's just our insatiable appetite for football. Now, the issue with spring, it's almost like some people like to take 6 months off from football, because think of the energy as a fan, even that you put in from September to February on football, whether it be college or pro. And it's like, I don't know, for me, a lot of times I just want to take a deep breath and say, okay, I'm going to rest a few months. But after a few months, it's like, okay, where's the football? That's why spring football in the South with Alabama, Auburn, South, it's a big deal. But if we can have our own team here that's actually playing games that they count, that's something you hope for. Again, it just down here in the South, we have a lot of other things that we contend with and compete with too, whether it be the Gulf of Mexico, outdoor sports, baseball, tennis, golf. So that's another thing that is in competition. But the springtime is a really nice time in South Alabama. Your average temperature in the 70s, and we don't have to deal with hurricanes at that point. Hurricane season goes from June to November, with September, October being the main part of it. So we get out of that season, and the spring really is a perfect time for football. Just a question of if people want to spend some money to go see it, and if nothing else, will you watch it? So
Now, you're the man responsible for sports in Mobile. Do you think this team is going to be embraced? Is there any buzz at all yet? Are people getting excited?
There's a small amount of buzz. When we announced it about 3 weeks ago, there was some buzz. Now, a lot of it. What's interesting to me is the two games we're going to play here are on Tuesday evenings. Which is not usually a football evening, but it's in August. 6:05 kickoff is what I've been told, which is really about the right time. You can get the heat of the day out of the way, and but really our fans here, and I don't want to use the word sophisticated, but they know a winner and a loser. They know their football. They know what you should be doing to win games. And if one thing to win, it's another thing to have effort. And if you see a good effort, but the bounce of the ball maybe not going your way, I still think that this community can embrace something like that. But I mean, again, time will tell, and I'm not sitting here and telling you it will or won't, but time will tell.
Time will tell. Danny, any final parting thoughts, things about Mobile, something you want to advocate that everyone should get down there and see in Mobile outside of Major League Football?
Well, I've often said that I think we're in one of the neatest places around the nation because we've got the Gulf of Mexico saltwater fishing. We've got the second largest river system called America's Amazon right here. Got the mountains only a few hours to our north. Got Florida to our east. It's just a cool place to be because we've got a battleship. We've got a USS Alabama battleship that's pretty cool for any of the history buffs. And that's just a few things. I mean, you can play outdoor sports probably 365 days a year here, and we've got the old French, Spanish, English culture down here. We've got a lot of good restaurants. New Orleans is basically our sister city. So it's kind of cool to have that kind of history and that kind of culture here.
Awesome. Well, Danny, thank you very much for your time. I know you're a busy man. Appreciate talking with you about everything Major League Football in Mobile, and look forward to seeing pro football at Ladd-Peebles Stadium.
Adam, thank you so much, and call us anytime.
Yes, sir.
Nova, the best